Hello YouTube, so today in this video we'll be creating this Angular CRUD application where user can post their shop details and also can update and delete their shop details. So this basically contains multiple sections. So one is the home page where all the shops detail will be displayed, and then there is a your shop section where only the shop posted by you will be displayed, and you can also edit and delete the shop. And then there is a form to add your shop details. Then there is about page where you can add details about yourself, and then there is a sign in and sign out page where you can sign in and sign out. So in the home page also we have filter. We can also filter through the shop. We can filter using their name or contact number or type of the shop. For example, if I search for a Neil shop, then only one shop will be displayed, and also I can search for multiple types groceries, so I'll see all the shop related to grocery, or I can type a mobile number, so based on that I'll be able to get the shop details. So there is a filtering functionality also, and then there is a pagination. So currently I have a 9 page, and in one page there can be 10 shops. So if I add more shop, then this pagination will also work. So I'll give you one flow after signing out and signing in. So I'll sign out from this application. So this sign up and sign in is all done by the Firebase. So we are using Firebase as a backend and also for hosting, and we are also using for authentication. So if I am signed out and if I go to the your shop section, so it will prompt us to log in, because currently we are not logged in, so we'll not be able to view the shop that are posted by us. And also in the sign in and sign out page, if you see, the screen has been changed. So right now it is prompting us to log in. Okay, and in the home page, if you see, edit and delete functionality has been removed because we are currently logged out. So I'll sign back in. So once we sign in, you will see the edit and delete functionality has been enabled, only the post that is created by us. Okay, so this is it. And also you can see that we have also added the details for the shop details that are posted by a particular user. And if you go to the sign in sign out page, then this different message will be displayed that that you are currently signed in. If you want to add a shop, that you can go to click on the add your shop details to add your shop. So let's start with the development. I'll open VS Code and open folder, go to desktop, edev. I'll create a folder, name Chukwala. I'll name it YouTube. So this Chukwala is the place where I live in. That's why this weird name is of that. It is my colony's name. Trust the authors. Now go to terminal. So make sure you have installed the latest Angular CLI before creating this Angular application. So this command will only work if you have installed the Angular CLI. So I'll hit ng new. I'll name it. I'll name the Angular app name as Chukwala YouTube. So this will create a new Angular application in this particular folder. So I'll skip this video until this command gets executed. So while running this command, you will be prompted to with this option you can hit yes, and you can select style sheet as CSS, although you can select any type, but for this video I'll be using CSS. Okay, so now this is running. I'll skip the video until this command gets executed. So it will hardly take 5 minutes or 10 minutes depending on your machine. Okay, the command is completed. We have successfully installed our Angular application. So I'll navigate to this folder, select folder. So this is our workspace for our Angular project Chukwala YouTube. Okay, so we'll start off. I'll go to new terminal. So we'll be using Angular material for our UI component. So now we'll go to the web page and we'll search for Angular material UI. Click the first icon. Click on get started, and basically we need to install this in our terminal. So I'll hit ng add Angular material. So this will add Angular material in our application, and meanwhile I can hit ng serve to open our Angular application that is created. So until this is running, I'll give you the brief about the Angular folder structure of this project that we have created. Node modules contain all the packages and modules that our Angular application need, and we'll be dealing with only the SRC app. So all our Angular components and everything will be in the SRC app, so we'll be using that. So our Angular application is successfully compiled, so I'll visit this web page, localhost 4200. So this is the default whenever you create a new Angular application, so this is the default web page that is displayed. So I'll delete this, go to app component.html and delete this, and I'll just write hello here. So when you save, it will automatically reload, so we are able to see hello. So in the other terminal, we installed this Angular material library, right? So for we need to control, so we need to press yes. Now choose any option that you would like. So you can visit this web page and choose the theme that you want. Click on this icon and select any theme that you want. So I'll be sticking with this deep purple, this indigo and pink. So I'll select this indigo and pink. Hit continue, hit select this, and set up global Angular material typography styles. Hit yes. Yes, we need this also. Okay, so now our Angular material has been successfully added to our project. So I'll open Paint and I'll give you the brief overview what we are going to create. So Angular is all about components. Angular, React, or any framework or library that you are front-end library that you are using, it's all about components. So we'll be breaking down our application into multiple components. So if I go to my web page, so if you see that there are multiple components. For example, if I go to the home page, then this we are navigated to this link. So this is, and if I go to this different pages, so I'll be navigated to a different page. So this is all different components. So I'll give you the brief overview. So this is our side nav. Okay, this is our nav bar, which will contain this add your shop button and sign in and sign out button, and also there are multiple links. So right, so this is our first component and I'll name this as home component. So basically this is our bootstrap component. So whenever we load in whichever page we are, this is the component that will be always displayed. So first is our home component, and then there is a dialog box. Okay, so when I press this button, add your shop button, then we'll create a component which will open this dialog box. Okay, so second is our dialog box, so I'll name this as dialog component. Okay, this is dialog component, and then there is a dashboard component. So in dashboard component we'll be showing all the shop cards and details. So all the details about the shop will be displayed in a different component, and we'll name this as dashboard. Okay, and your shop section will be a different component. So this is our fourth component, and similarly for about page and sign in and sign out page, this will be our fifth component, and this will be our sixth component. So I know this is not a good drawing, but yeah, so this is what we will be going ahead with. So let's go to our Angular components and search for side nav. Okay, so these are pre-built Angular components that we can import and directly use in our application without much hassle or further coding. So if I go to example and see the different components that are already there, for example, if I press this, then this side nav will be toggled. So there are multiple side navs example that are already there, but we'll be creating our own because our side nav is a bit different. So when I hit inspect, so it will be different for different screen sizes. For example, if I switch to iPhone SE, So this our left part of the side nav will be opened only when we press this toggle button. Okay, so first we'll start with this side nav. So I'll create a component ng generate. So the command for creating a component in Angular is ng generate component home. So if you want to add this in its separate folder, so you add like this. So I'll be adding all the components in a folder named component. So yeah, so ng generate component components so the command will be ng generate components home. So okay, now our home component is created. Go to components home HTML, delete the default part and go to home component.html, app component.html. So in the app component.html I'll be adding this app home tag. So this will be the default, so this will be the bootstrap of our application. So this will be displayed every time we load our page. So now go to your home component.html, go to this link. I'll provide this link in the description. Copy this. So this is the only code that I will not be writing, otherwise I'll be writing everything. I'll explain what this code does in a minute. So first we'll fix these errors. We need to import side nav. So I'll search for side nav, go to APIs, copy this and add it to your app module.ts and add this to your imports array. Go to imports, add this, add this. Now for fixing other errors, we need to, so for fixing other errors, we don't need this, so we'll remove this and we'll remove this also and remove this ng if conditions. We'll add that later and also remove this. Okay, so this will be our code, and basically these errors are for imports errors. So we'll import this too. So go to your app module.ts and import this and add it to your imports array also and hit save. Now we need to fix mat nav list error. So go to your app module.ts, now paste this and also copy this and add it to your imports array, hit save. Now we'll check what's the error. Also we need to import mat icon. So go to search for icon in your Angular material, icons. So we need to import this also. So this is basically the import for all the icons that are provided by Angular material. Okay, so import this also and add it to your imports array, hit save. Okay, so now we need to fix this error. So for fixing this error, go to your go to the repo again, go to components, home component.ts and copy this. Copy this. Okay, so now go back and copy this also and paste it to your constructor. Basically we need to inject it, and also you need to copy this import. So we'll import this and also we'll need to import this. Okay, also basically we'll import this from here. Quick fix RxJS operators. So be careful, if you are using VS Code then this auto import suggestion will be presented to you, but if you are using any other ID this will not be presented to you, so you have to type it manually. So we have to import it like here, and also we need to import this observable from RxJS. Hit save. Now go to your page. So yeah, this is basically what our this home component will contain. So this will be our base of the application and everything will be contained in it. So currently there are some styling issues. Also the button does not have any style, so we'll fix that. and also in the CSS file, I'll not be explaining any CSS code because that will make the video very long. So you just copy this and paste it here. Okay, so now go back. So this is working. Now we'll fix this button issues. Now go to this Angular material and search for button. Now press the button, go to APIs, copy this, go to your app module.ts, paste it, add it to your imports array. So I'll copy this, add it to your imports array, hit save. Now go back. Now you see our styling is also getting applied from the material button uh, component. Okay, so now we need to work. Okay, so I'll explain you the code for this home component.html. So this is basically the whole code for our side nav. So this mat side nav, this portion checks what is the current viewport size. If we are using a mobile, then the side nav will be something like this. For example, if I switch the viewport, so our side nav will compress, and it will be only toggled when we press this button. And similarly, if we increase the viewport, so this will be different for every viewport. So this code checks what's the current viewport size, and based on that it shows the screen. And this is the basically mat toolbar which shows this portion. And mat list, this mat nav list is for all the routings. Okay, so when click on this, we'll navigate to different page. So we'll come to this later when we'll be creating this components. So this is basically a tag, and in the router link, this router link is Angular's way of routing to different pages. Okay, so we have added router link to different pages. So currently we did not create any components. Like for example, we'll be creating about page, sign in page, so we'll connect these routes. So for now we are just writing this. We'll come back to this later. And also router link active is for used if we want to mark this as active. For example, if I visit this page, this should be selected and different colors should be displayed. So we'll add that too later. Okay, so this is our mat nav list, and this mat side nav is being closed here. So we'll check for the mat side nav content. So in the mat side nav content, it contains a mat toolbar. Okay, this is our toolbar, and this is a button for toggling. So this button part will only activate when the viewport size is of our this mobile size. Okay, so this is the button, and similarly this is our title of the page. Okay, and these two are the buttons for add your shop button and sign in and sign out page. So currently if you see, we are showing both the sign in and sign out page, but it should be conditional, right? So when we are signed in, so we should only show the sign in page, otherwise we should show the sign out page. So we'll fix that also, but for now we'll add both the buttons. Okay, and I've added a router outlet here. So what does this router outlet does is that all the routing will happen from this component, this part only. Okay, this home component will serve as the base. So in whichever route we are, okay, so this side nav will this home component will always be displayed. So all the routing will take place from here. Okay, so this is what basically home component.html does. Bear with me. I know you had to copy this code, but everything will from now on will be typing. I will be explaining and typing every code. Okay, so this is done. Now we need to create one more thing. So now we need to work on when I click this button, so our form should be displayed, right? So when I click this button, this should be displayed. So this whole component, this whole form will be in a separate component, and we'll name that as a dialog. So this is the shortcut for generating a component, NGGC. So we need to make this component in components folder. So I'll name that as dialog. Okay, so this will generate a component for us. Okay, so our dialog component is generated. Go to components, dialog, open this HTML. Okay, now go to this. Now search for form. Search for form field. it's a typo here. Go to form field, go to APIs, copy this. See, Angular material library is simple. Okay, you just need to import the components. The functionality is already built in. So that's the, I would say, beauty of it. Now go to overview. So these are basically the components that we can use. Input, there are selection, text area, we can increase it. So there are different components, so we'll be using this one. Okay, because if you see here, we are using this input element, and also we are adding this icon, and also we are using this as input element, but for this we are using a chips. This is basically called a chip selection, so we'll add that also. And this is a detailed description, so this is a text area which we can increase, so we'll add this also. Okay, so go to form field and go to examples and view code. So this is basically our code, so copy this. We'll be modifying based on according to our needs. So go to dialog component.html, paste this. Okay, so this will not be displayed. Basically what we need to do, we need to search, do one more thing. Go to this material and search for dialog and go to examples. So what is currently happening is that we, on the click of a button, basically we need to search for, I think this will do. So on the click of a button we need to open dialog box like this, and click of a cancel, this should close. Okay, so we'll search for we'll click on view code, and I'll copy this part only, the click element, and go to your home component.html, and in your add your shop button, for example, on the click of this button I need to open a this dialog component. Okay, so I'll add this element, click element here. So now this is giving error because we didn't implemented this function, so we'll implement this. Go to your TS file and add this, and in your open dialog, go back here and go to TS, and in your open dialog add this. Okay, now paste it here, remove this. Okay, we don't need this. Now we need to inject this, copy this part and add it to your constructor. I'll add some space so it doesn't look messy. Okay, now we have added as a constructor. Now copy this also, add it to your imports array, and instead of dialog this will be dialog component. Okay, so when I hit enter, VS Code automatically imports this component, so make sure you are adding this too also. Okay, so now hit save. Let's go back and okay, why it's not working? I'll recompile it. I'll hit Control C. Now I will run ngserve again. Meanwhile this is running, I'll skip this video. Okay, we forgot to import this, so this we also need to import. Okay, copy this and add it to your app module.ts. Add it to your imports array also. So now hit save and check for it again. So now it's working. Now when I'll click this button, this model will appear, but if you see the stylings, input element stylings are not getting applied, so we'll fix that also. Now what you can do, go back and search for form field. So now we can work on our dialog component. Okay, so I'll tell you one shortcut in VS Code. Hit Control P. Instead of browsing through folders, like if you are searching for a specific file, that will take some time. So hit Control P and search for dialog and go to HTML. Okay, so we are here, and we'll modify this according to our needs. So I'll add h2 tag here, and I'll say it mat dialog title, and I'll name this as add your shop details. Okay, hit save. Okay, why it's this giving error? We need to remove this. Hit save. And also if you see, the stylings are not getting applied, so we need to fix this. So for fixing this, go back to your VS Code, and in the app module.ts add this import mat input module. Now copy this and add it to your import array also. So compile, go back, open this. So this is working. Okay, but if you see, these are the things that we don't need. We need our shop details, right? So we'll fix that. Now go to your dialog component.html, and I'll delete all of this, and we'll move step by step. So first I'll create a div, and I'll name it as mat dialog content. Oops, there is typo mistake. I'll close the div here, hit save. Now I will add a form. Copy this, cut this. Now paste it down below. Adjust some spacing. Now in the mat form field appearance, you can add this as outline, and in the mat label, write it as shop name, and in the input placeholder, you need to type enter your shop name. Okay, for the mat icon, I'll use this person pin, so the icon will be changed. We won't be needing any hint, so I'll remove this. So hit save, go back, add your shop. So this is shop name. Okay, and if you see, we used person pin, so the icon is changed. So similarly, well, I'll add this for other fields also. Copy this, and I'll name this as shop address. I'll say enter your shop address, and here I can say place. Okay, if you are wondering how I am writing this mat icon, you can basically search so when you search for an Angular material icon, click the second link, Angular JS wiki. So based on the icon that you need to add this thing. Okay, so yeah, now go back to your component. I added here place. So similarly, I'll add for other things also. So I'll say shop number, not shop number, I'll say mobile number. I'll say enter your mobile number, and here I can use contact phone. Okay, now copy this also. Now we'll add two more fields. One is for shop timings, so I'll say shop timings, remove this. Now I'll say enter your shop timings, and here I can say access time, and I'll add a hint also here, so because we need to specify exactly in which format the user should type the date. Okay, so I'll say, for example, 9:00 AM to 8:30 PM. Okay, so this is just a hint, and yeah, so basically we won't be needing this. So let's see what's the result. Okay, so this is working. So you can see the hint here. Hint is being displayed, and also there is a different icon, but this is coming as only in one line, so we need to fix that also. Okay, so I'll work for other things also. Now if I go back, there is shop name address. Now we need to work on this image upload file. Okay, so in this input tag we'll be needing a file. So after this shop address, I'll be adding another form field. Okay, I'll say div class card, and I'll say div class, add a class card header. I'll say upload a image of your shop, and I'll add one more div. I'll name it as card body, and then here I can say h5 class card title, and I'll say select a file for upload. Okay, in the next line I can say input id is equal to file upload, and this is very important, we need to specify type as file. Okay, then only our input element will change. And I'll add in the change element, I'll add a upload function. Okay, and I'll say accept only type image, so only image type will be uploaded. So this is basically it. And also we need to enclose this in a container, so I'll say div class container, cut that and close the tag and er. Okay, so this is giving me error because we didn't implement this function, so I'll copy this and go to ts file and add a function here. For now we can just say event of type event. Okay, hit save. Now see if it is working or not. So I'll go here, so this is working. Okay, I will fix all the styling issues later, but now I'm just creating the form. Okay, so now we need to work on these three things we created. While number and timings is also created, so we need to work on these two. Okay, so this is a different kind of selection. Basically this is called a chip selection. Okay, so we'll implementing this. So now go to form field and search for chip. So if I go to overview, so this is basically our chip, so we'll be importing this and using it. So go to API, copy this, go to your app module.ts, copy this and copy this portion and add it to your imports array. Okay, hit save, go to examples. So we'll be using, there are different type of chips that we can use, but we'll be using this one. Okay, so go to view code and copy all of this and paste it down here before the form tag. Okay, paste it down, and in the ts file basically copy this above the component. You need to add this, and also you need to add this. You need to add both of this, so add it to your ts file, and don't forget to import these three things. So I'll add this also. I'll say on minute, so we need to import that also. Okay, so what else do we need to import? Okay, so we need to copy these two functions also, add and remove. So copy this and add it down below. Okay, so now our issue is with fruits, so I'll add this also. Don't worry, we'll not be using foods, we'll be changing that later. Okay, so just for our current sake of working, we are using like this. So go back, and if you see here, we can add multiple fruits. Okay, so this is done. Now only thing that is remaining is our text area. So go to form field, and for the text area we'll be needing this one. Okay, so view code and copy. So basically we'll be creating it from scratch. So what we'll do, we'll copy this one. Okay, now paste it down here, and here you can say shop details, and in the input you need to replace it with text area. So you'll say text area, and you need to enclose this. uh, you need to enclose it with text area. Okay, and I'll say here enter your shop description, and mat icon I'll change it to, so basically we won't be needing this these two things, so we'll remove it and check what's the result. Go back, add your shop, so correct icon is being displayed, and we don't need icon in shop details. So yeah, this is pretty much it. So now we need to fix this styling issues. Now go to your CSS file. Okay, now copy this CSS styling, as I told you in the previous video also, previous section also, that I will not be explaining about the CSS part. You can copy it, and you can learn by itself, like you can see the code. And okay, so go to dialog CSS, go to dialog CSS, copy this and paste it all down here, hit save, go back and see what if it is working fine or not. Okay, so this is working. So in the CSS we are just saying that the form field width should be 100%, and also this is these three CSS styling is for our form field input, form field input of file type, basically for uploading our file. Okay, so yeah, so we are done with this. Now we'll be working on the implementation part of it. So go to this TS file. So now we need to create a form. Okay, so I'll create a form. I'll name it as shop form of type form group. Okay, and one more thing that you need to do, you need to go to tsconfig.json and you need to set this strict as false, otherwise you will be getting lot of errors. Okay, so when I hit make it as false, so this error will disappear. Hit save. Now in the constructor you need to import private form builder of type form builder. Okay, so basically I'm pressing enter and it is automatically getting import. So if you are using VS Code, it will be automatically done if you press enter. If you are using any other ID, please check if you are if the import is correct or not. Okay, so on the ng on init, now we'll be initializing this form. So go to ng on init and type this dot shop form is equal to this dot form builder dot group. So we'll be grouping all the contents of our form. So I'll say UID, currently this will be empty and it will be required, validators dot required. Okay, so I'll copy this and I'll paste it multiple times. So now I'll rename this. I'll say as shop name. I'll copy this and I'll say shop address, shop image. If you find this boring, you can skip the video until this is done. Shop number, So these are all the things that we require in the form. Okay, so this is done. Now we need to bind this form to our HTML. So I'll go back here in the HTML section, and in the form field, in the form tag, I'll assign a form group. Form group is equal to the name of the form that we created, which is shop form. Okay, so this will give you an error. I'll tell you why. If you expand it, it will say can't bind to form group since it isn't a known property. So to fix this error, go to your app module.ts. Now we need to import two things. First is our forms module. Okay, so I'm hitting enter again. I'm hitting enter, and VS Code is automatically importing it. Okay, so check that if you are using any other IDE. So, and also we need to import reactive forms module. So when I import these two, the error will be gone. So go to your HTML and check if everything is working. Okay, so we are not done here. We need to assign this form to every our form fields. So now in the input field, we need to assign form control name, and name will be shop name. Okay, similarly I'll copy this and I'll add it to every other input tag. I'll say shop address. Make sure the spelling is correct, otherwise it will make a issue. For the input field, we do not require any form control name, so we'll skip this. I'll tell you later why. Now in the shop number, I can say shop number. Similarly for input, I can say shop timings, and assign a form control name here also. So I'll say shop category. Similarly for the last bit, I'll say form control name shop description. Hit save. Okay, now this is done. I'll add a submit button also. So I'll say div. I'll add a div, and I'll say div mat dialog action align, and now I'll say button. I'll create a button, give it a mat raised button, and then color will be worn mat dialog close. So if you see how I'm creating this, you can check it from here also. We go to dialog examples. If I open this, okay, basically if I not this one, if I'll open this one, so this is this is basically the cancel button and the submit button. So if I view code, and if I go to the HTML, if you see these are the buttons. Okay, we are using mat dialog close property for closing this dialog. Okay, so this is done. I'll copy this again, and I'll say button mat raised button, color will be primary, so I'll say primary. This class will not be applied, and I'll say add. So we'll see what's the result. Go back, add your shop. So this is close. So by closing this button, this will be closed, and by adding this submit, this form will be submitted. But if you see, there is a spacing issue in this, so we'll fix that. So I'll say button style margin left is equal to 10 pixels. Hit save. Now check that. So now there is a spacing in these two buttons. Okay, and also we'll disable this form until the form is valid. Okay, so I'll say shop form dot invalid. If our form is invalid, so this button will always be disabled. So that is a good practice to do. For example, if a user is not typing the correct contents of the form, or if he is missing out for a particular field, the form add button should be disabled. Okay, so yeah, this is done. Now go back to your ts file again, HTML file again. Now I'll add one more property. I'll say click, I'll say add shop. Okay, so now we'll implement this. Copy this, go to your ts file, in below create this function, save it. So in this add shop button we'll add these conditions. If our form is invalid, okay, so we'll disable this form. Remove this, I accidentally added it. I'll say if, okay, otherwise I'll say, so otherwise we'll implement the functionality. So we have pretty much created our skeleton, but this form is not working yet, so we'll fix that. So what now we need to do, go to your another terminal, hit clear. Now type npm I Firebase. Okay, so meanwhile this is running, go to console.firebase.com. okay, go to this link and create another project. Okay, so I'll say add project. You can name this project anything. I'll say Chukwala final. Okay, I'll hit continue. So disable this, we don't need any analytics, so hit create project. So I'll skip the video until this is finished. Okay, so now our project is ready. Hit continue. This will open the project for us. Okay, so here there are a lot of things that you can do in Firebase. Okay, we can do authentication, like everything is being handled by Firebase only. So this is a gold. Okay, Firebase, if you are creating a small or medium sized project, so this is a very good thing, because you can add everything in it. So Firebase can act as a backend and also can be used for authentication, for storing your data, and also for deploying. So we'll be using almost all of it. So we'll be using authentication, so, and we'll be using real-time database, not the Firestore database, and we'll be using storage, and we'll be using hosting. Okay, so I'll show you how we can do that. Now click on this web icon. Okay, register your app, you can name it anything. I'll say Chukwala final. Okay, also set up Firebase hosting. Okay, so register app, click check this button. Okay, register app. Now we have already run this command, so we don't need to run this again. So now what you need to do, you need to copy this this config file. So you don't share this config file with everyone else. Also I'll be disabling this project after creating this video, so don't try to use mine. Okay, so now go to your environment.ts, environment.ts. now paste it here. Okay, we don't need constant, we only need this one, and also add a comma here. Okay, this should fix the issues. Also we don't need semicolon, and instead of equal to, we need to specify as semicolon. Now hit save, go back, hit on next, store these values somewhere. Okay, now hit next. Now you need to install this, npm install g firebase tools. So in another terminal you can install this. Now hit next. So this hosting will be doing it later, so you can ignore this and hit continue to console. Okay, so this part is done here. So now we need to use our real-time database. So click on this, create a database. choose your nearest location. So currently I'm in Asia, so I'll select as Singapore, hit next. Okay, so this is important. You need to select it as start in test mode. Okay, so what will happen in test mode is that read and write will be allowed for you, and also you can customize your security rules once your whole project is created. Okay, so I'll hit this and click this enable button. We'll wait a minute until this is completed. Also, while running this command, some prompts will be displayed, so we'll check that also. Okay, so now our real-time database is created and this link is also provided to us. So based on this link, we can do all the CRUD operations. So this is basically a API, so you can think of it as an API. So we can perform all the CRUD operations. CRUD basically means create, delete, read and update. So this is what we need. Okay, so we'll go back. Okay, this is still running. We'll wait for it. So meanwhile this is running, open another terminal. Okay, now hit command ng generate. So now we need to generate a service file. Okay, so I'll use ng generate service, then I'll create a services folder and I'll name it as shop. Okay, so hit enter. So this will create a service file for us. So in the service file, open this. Okay, so in this file we need to create all the CRUD functions for our app. So I'll say save. So I'll say save shop details. I'll pass in a parameter of data of type any, and I'll say return this dot http dot post, and also we need to inject this http client. Okay, so in the constructor we need to type private http client. Okay, so one more thing we need to do, go to your app module.ts. We'll search for it, hit Control P and search. Hit Control P and search for app module.ts, and here you need to import http client module. So I'll say http client module. Hit save. Now go back to your shop service. Okay, we'll check whether this command is completed or not. Okay, it's still running. So here we need to mention this dot http dot post of type any, and I'll provide this link. So I'll copy this. So this is basically a API which can be used for all the CRUD operations. So I'll paste this and I'll pass in as extra parameter data to save our data, whatever we are sending the data. Okay, so our very first goal would be to save the data, form data, that upon clicking on this submit button. Okay, so when we click on this submit button, our data should be added to the Firebase. Okay, so what I'll do, also we need to do one more thing. Here we need to mention shop list.json. Okay, so what will this do? This shop, when we add shop list.json, it will basically create a collection and named shop list, and in that collection our multiple values will be stored. So it will be much clearer when we'll implement this. So for now you can just add this shop list.json. Now go to your dialog component. So hit Control P and search for dialog component.ts. Now in the add shop section, we can use this function to call our API and add the shop our form data. Okay, now I will say else this dot shop service. Okay, first we need to inject the service that we created. So in the constructor we'll say private shop service. Now inject the shop service that we just created and also make sure that it is imported successfully. So I'll say this dot shop service dot save shop, and I'll say save the shop form value. Okay, so it will get all the values that are being sent by the form, and it will save this in this in our API. Okay, so I'll subscribe res I'll say alert if the post, if our data is saved successfully, and I'll reset the form once our data is successfully saved. And also I need to do one more thing. I need to close the dialog box, and you can say any message you can say. So I'll say save. So this is basically giving me a error. So to fix this error, we need to import something. So we'll import mat dialog ref. Okay, and we also need to import mat dialog data. Okay, so this will be used later. I'll explain this also. So for now we'll be using this. Now inject this mat dialog reference. So I'll copy this and go to your constructor. Now we need to inject this. So I'll say private dialog reference of type mat dialog reference, and I'll say dialog component. Okay, hit save, and we'll test this whether this is working or not. And basically also we need to do one more thing. So this UID and username and user image will be passing it later. Okay, so we can remove the required validators from it, otherwise the shop form will always be invalid. Okay, so we'll be adding that we'll be adding required validators later. So for now we will only use required validators for this. So hit save. Now test the form whether it is working or not. Click on this, type any random value. Okay, for before this also we need to do one more thing. So go here and go to storage. We need to set up the storage also. So get started, start in test mode, hit next. Select the region that is nearest to you. So for me I'll select this southeast one. Click on done. Also if you select this post selection, you cannot change it, so make sure that you choose the nearest location, otherwise the app can be slow for you. So meanwhile this is running. I'll skip the video. Okay, so now this is completed and our storage is also initialized. And there is one more thing, we cannot use this form because we didn't uploaded this upload functionality. Okay, so if we are for example, if I'm choosing any file, so I won't be able to upload it because I didn't write the function for it. So first we'll work on this. So I'll create this function. Okay, this will be of type event. I'll just say event, and I'll say const id. I'll assign any random name to the file. Okay, this is important, otherwise any name can be assigned. So there is no duplicate file issue. So I'll add this. I'll create a variable const file event dot target dot files. Okay, I'll say console dot log file. Okay, hit save. Now I'll go back and choose file. First open a console, inspect, open console, and now try to upload a file. I'll upload this file. So if you see here, we are getting the console log of whatever we are uploading it. Okay, so we need to take the name file from it. Okay, So close this. Now we need to do, now it will be let file path will assign file path the ID, random ID that we generated, and I'll say this dot reference. Also we need to create one more variables. So one will be reference and it will be of type Angular, and also before doing this we need to install one more thing. So I'll say npm I firestore Angular. So the command for this will be, okay, so the command for this will be ng add Angular Fire. Okay, so add this. Meanwhile this is running, I'll skip the video. Okay, one prompt will be displayed to us. This package will be installed. So hit yes and hit continue. Press enter. Okay, so this is so this was currently running and this will be prompted to you. So we need to select we'll be using authentication Firestore real-time database. Okay, I think this is pretty much it. This is what we need. You can ignore the rest of this. So only select these four and hit enter. This will be provided to you, so I'll select this as my Gmail ID. Okay, I'll select my project that I just created earlier, so I'll say Chukwala Final. Please select a hosting site, so I'll select this. Basically this is we can do this later also, so I'll select this app. Okay, so our configuration is completed. Okay, so I'll close this and the reference, so I'll close this and I'll in the reference I'll assign a type of Angular Fire storage. Check the spelling, Angular Fire storage reference, and I need to import this. So I'll say import Angular Fire storage Angular. Check the spelling that you are typing the correct spelling, unlike me. Angular Fire storage reference, okay, from @ Angular Fire compat storage. Okay, so this will be of type Angular Fire storage reference. Now add one more variable, task Angular. This will be of type Angular Fire upload task. Okay, now create two more variables, upload state of type observable, of type unknown. Copy this, create one more variable of type progress. So basically these four we are needing it because we need to know the progress, whether the file our file is getting successfully uploaded or not. Okay, so here now I can say, so before doing that we need to inject two things also. So I'll say private AF storage of type Angular Fire storage, and I'll inject one more thing, private AF auth from Angular Fire auth. Okay, so once this is imported, hit save. Now we can work on this upload functionality. So I'll say this dot ref is equal to this dot af storage dot reference id. Okay, now I'll say this dot task is equal to this dot af storage. So this is basically a function of the Angular Firebase, which will upload our file to their storage. Okay, this will store our file in the storage. So this is the function provided by the this Angular file storage. Okay, so we are using that, and we are providing the file path, the random id we generated for our file, and we are passing two parameters. One is file randomly generated file path, and the file. Okay, now this dot upload state we created earlier, this is an observable which will be used. Okay, so I'll say this dot upload state is equal to this dot task So what this function does is provides us with the latest changes, whether our uh, task was successfully completed or not. If it was not completed, then we'll get the error. Okay, so I'll say this dot s state say this dot upload progress, this dot task dot percentage changes. I'll say okay, I'm getting an error, so I need to import this map from RxJS. Okay, now I'll say this dot task dot snapshot changes dot pipe finalize this dot reference dot get download URL. So it will give me the download URL once the file is successfully uploaded to the this Firebase storage. We'll subscribe to it, and I'll say this dot, and I'll save it to our form value. Okay, so I'll say patch value is used once the form is initialized, and if we want to set some values to the form, then we use patch value. Okay, so I'll say shop image URL. Okay, so what I'm doing for this shop image, we are patching the download URL which we are getting while we are uploading that file. Okay, so this will patch the URL to this, and now we need to subscribe to it. Okay, I think this is pretty much done. So now we can test our form. Okay, this is giving me error, need to check that. Angular file storage injection token. Okay, for fixing this error, we need to go to app module.ts, and in the providers array we need to import shop service, and also we need to do one more thing. Hit save and go to environment.ts, and we need to delete this that we previously created. This was auto generated by this when we were installing this ng-add. When we ran this command ng-add angular fire, so this automatically updated our environment.ts and prod.ts, so that's why the values are automatically coming. So what we need to do, we need to initialize these files in our app module.ts. Okay, so now go to app module.ts. Now we need to import Angular fire module. Okay, so I'll copy this and I'll say import. So I'll say Angular fire module from @Angular fire compat. Okay, so now I can say dot initialize app, and environment will pass the variable name from that from the environment. Okay, so in this environment file we are using this Firebase variable, right? So we'll be using that. So we need to initialize our Firebase app here. Okay, so hit save and see if there is any error. Okay, so I think all the errors are gone. Okay, so now we can check our form, but before checking the form we need to do one more thing. Go to your dialog component.html. So we need to fix this mat chip. Okay, so currently we are using the default template which was provided by the chip material library, but we are not using fruit here. We'll be using our category, so we'll fix this. Create a getter function. So I'll create a getter function name get categories, and I'll return this dot shop form dot get shop category. Okay, and we need to modify this here also. So instead of sending fruit, what we'll do, we'll say const input is equal to event dot input, and const value will be event dot value, and we'll add our category. Okay, if value, or if it is null. Okay, if the value is null, then we'll trim it. Now I'll say this dot categories dot set value. So what I'm doing, I'm setting this getter function. So this getter function is giving me controls of this shop category. Okay, so this is giving me controls of this shop category, and I'm setting this in the add function. So in the add function I'm saying set this value. I'll say I'll use the spread operator, this dot categories dot value. So whatever user is filling in that chips, so that should be set it here. Okay, and also we need to trim it if the user is entering any null values. And I'll set this dot categories dot update value and validity. Now in the remove, I'll say category of type category. So this is not created. We'll create this. So I'll say this dot categories dot value dot index of category. If index is greater than 0, if values are greater than 0, then I'll say okay, this is done. Now hit save. So this is giving me errors because we didn't define it. So I'll say export interface category, and this interface we need to assign a type of type string. One more error is there. Okay, so we won't be needing this now because we are directly passing the category from the category from this shop category, and also it will be of type array. So initially it will be, if it is null, then it will be null of type array. Okay, Now one more error is there, that is in the dialog component.html. So we'll fix that also. I'll rename this label as shop category. I'll rename this as category selection. This is correct. And instead of fruit, I'll say category of categories dot value, and I'll pass this as category, and this will be category. Okay, we'll check this whether it is working or not. Now we can finally test our form and see if there is any error. So I'll provide any random values. Okay, I'll upload this image. I'll enter a mobile number, shop timings, anything we can add. So I'll add this. Post saved successfully. Now we can check our Firebase console. Go to real-time database. So if you see here, this shop list collection is being created. So if I go to shop service, shop service.ts, I was basically saying to add this as shop list.json. So what this will do, this will create a collection named this, and our entries will be provided in this particular ID. Okay, so all our details are now getting stored. So our shop category is of type array. So currently we only provided one category. Okay, so that's why only one category is there and everything is being provided. And also if you see, the shop image is coming, we are getting a link when we are uploading our image, so we are storing that link. Okay, so this UID, user image, and username will do this later when we will do the authentication. So this is now working. So now we can focus on update and delete. Okay, and also if you see, the image that we uploaded will be stored in the storage tab, and a unique ID will be assigned to it, and it will be stored here. Okay, so this is the image that I uploaded, and you can also delete and modify from here also. Now we need to focus on the dashboard. Okay, so we need to display all the contents that we are able to save. So we'll now focus on this part. We have created the site nav and the this component. Okay, so now I will create a another component. I'll name it as ng generate components. In component folder, I'll create a component named dashboard. So this is created. Now go to HTML, delete this. So now we'll create the dashboard component.html. So first we will be creating this part. Okay, so first we'll design this. So in dashboard component.html, create a div, assign a class header, start section, div class header section, create another div and name it as header headline. Now create a heading, I'll name it as mat h1, and I'll name it as Chukwala shops. Okay, create one more heading, but assign a heading as h2 and give it a class name as mat h2. Now I can say list of all the shops around Chukwala, Dehradun. Okay, you can assign your postal code if you want. Okay, so now I'll create one more div and I'll say div, I'll assign class later. Now I'll say h3 and give it a style of font size 30 pixel and color of white. Now you can say welcome user. So currently we are hard coding it, we are saying welcome user, but once we add our authentication, we'll be able to get the name of the user once the user signs in. So currently we'll be only using user, so hit save. And also I'll be copying all the stylings from the CSS file. I'll already provide you the link to this repository. You can copy all the CSS part. So I'll not be focusing on the CSS part. I'll just explain you, so you can focus and see the code for the CSS part yourself. So in this HTML, we are creating this header section. So we are styling all this mat h1 and h2. We are assigning this this layout. We're creating a div, and we are assigning a background color as matching as same as the indigo color, which is of the material library. And then this is the h1 element, h2, and this is the h3 element. Okay, so hit save and check if it is working. I'll see if there is any error. Okay, so this is working, but our dashboard component is not being displayed. So to fix that, now we need to work on this routing part. Okay, so this in Angular we have this file named app routing module.ts. so here we defined all the routing of the Angular. Okay, so if I am visiting any page, so this will be initiated here only in the app routing module. So we'll do that also. So go to your app routing module.ts, and we'll create our different routes. So first route that I am going to create is of dashboard. So our app will be initialized with this dashboard component only. So I'll say assign a component. I'll name this as dashboard component. So this is auto importing it. Make sure it is also being imported in your ID. Okay, so now we need to handle invalid route and a wildcard route. Okay, so I'll assign this as empty. So whenever someone types our page, if he doesn't provide any route, so the default component that should be loaded should be the dashboard component. And if I am adding any invalid route, for example this, so that should be handled by this. Okay, so that will be handled by this. I'll add 2 star. This is for wildcard. Okay, so if I enter any invalid route, so this will be displayed. So we'll test this. Okay, so we need to do one more thing. Instead of component, this will be redirect to, I'll say, dashboard, and path match should be full. That means make sure the path is exactly matching what we are typing in the URL address. Okay, I'll copy this and I'll add this here also, and make sure to add a comma here, and I'll say this. Okay, so this is basically it. We'll test this. So if I reload so if I go here, so this will be handled by this. If I don't specify any page, so this should automatically load me to a dashboard page. And if I am assigning any invalid route, so this should automatically redirect me to the dashboard page. Okay, so now this part is also working for us. So I'll go to the dashboard, go back to the dashboard component HTML. So we'll now focus on the content that is being displayed. So now we need to add this card here, which is search a shop. So we'll do that in the HTML. I'll create one more div, and in this div I'll say class filter. I'll assign a class filter search mat card, and I'll say style background will be of color 3F51B5, and text color will be white. Okay, I'll say search a shop. So this is currently giving me error because I didn't import the mat card. So we'll search for mat card, search for card. This is card API. Import this into your app module.ts. Copy this and add it to your import array. Okay, hit save. Now go to dashboard component.html and we'll see if it is working or not. Okay, so this is compiling. Okay, so now this is working. Okay, so now we need to focus on the filter and our card and the pagination. Okay, so we'll add it in this dashboard component only. Now we'll look for this filter component. Okay, so for working with this filter, what we need to do, we need to go to this card and we need to search for table. Okay, go to table. So if you see here, go to first we need to import it. So go to API and import it to your app module.ts. Add it here. Now copy this, add it here, add a comma, save it. Okay, so now go to examples. Okay, we will be needing a table which has search functionality also. Okay, so we'll be using this one. So basically this is a table. Okay, I'll show you the demo. So this is basically a table only, which is having table, and this is also a card, but instead of multiple columns, we'll be using only one column, and in that column we'll be adding multiple uh, fields in that. Okay, so I'll view the code of this. Okay, so I'll copy this search form field and I'll paste it here. So this is basically for search functionality. So I'll enclose this within a div. Okay, I'll say div class filter fx. So this class is already being implemented in CSS. You can check that. This is basically for alignment of the search bar, and I'll assign a style margin bottom 50 pixels. Okay, now cut this div and paste it here. Hit save. And also we need to assign a style here also, and I'll say margin left 40 pixels. Okay, and in the placeholder we'll be saying example ng mart. Okay, this is the name of the shop. So in the placeholder we can define that. So this is currently giving me error because we didn't define this function. So currently I'll just add a boilerplate to this code. Okay, so I'll hit save, see if it is working or not. So go to the page. Okay, so now this is working. So example ngmart is also coming. Okay, so so now we need to work on this card. Okay, so there are multiple cards, and based on how many entries are in the database, so we'll be displaying all the details of the shop in a card. Okay, so go to Angular material and search for card. Okay, so there are a lot of cards in it, but first we'll import this card. So copy this and add it to your app module.ts. Keep opening this by accident. Copy this. We have already added it, right? So we don't need to add it. What we need to do, we need to go to examples and we need to search the card that we want to use. So I think this will be good for us. Okay, so I'll go to view code. So I'll copy this one. Okay, and then I'll paste it in my dashboard component.html. I'll hit save. So now if I go back to my page, so this is what is being displayed. Okay, so we need to modify it according to our need. Okay, so I'll go here and I'll assign a div and I'll name it div. Okay, now cut this, now paste it down below. So instead of this, we'll be using image tag. So I'll say image property source is equal to, for now it will be empty, but I'll change this later. Now I'll say mat card avatar. Okay, so this is basically for this image. Okay, this small image. Oops. Okay, so this is for this small image. Okay, so this is it. So now our title and subtitle, everything is static, right? So we need to get this all this data from the Firebase database. Okay, so we'll do that, but first we need to modify this according to our shop category. So what I'll do, I'll assign a class to this image tag. I'll say class shop image section. You can refer to the what the stylings are applied to the class in the CSS section. Okay, and I'll say I'll assign a property to this. Currently it will be empty, but we'll be changing that later. And instead of photo of alternative, if the image fails to load, then we need to specify alternative. I'll say photo of shop image. Okay, hit save. Okay, so now in the mat card content we need to change a lot of things according to our shop details. So now I'll say I'll delete this one. I'll say h1 style margin top 20 pixels. Then I'll say shop details. Okay, now I'll create one more div. I'll say div style, and I'll assign a font size of 16 pixels. Okay, and inside this div I'll create one more div class mat list fix and a paragraph. In this paragraph we need to define phone number, okay, and we'll be passing value to this once our we fetch the data from the Firebase. Now we need to specify mat divider also. Okay, so what will this do? This will create this divider, this line. Okay, so now we don't need to do much, we just need to copy it and we need to display it according to our shop details. Okay, so we are having a shop phone number, then we can say timings. I'll do this as capital. This will be category. This will be about shop. Okay, so once this is done, I'll create one more div. So this div so up till now we have created till this part, so now I'll be creating this part. Okay, so I'll say div class posted by heading div style margin top. I'll assign it as 5 pixels. Okay, now I'll add a bold tag and I'll say posted by, and I'll enclose this div here. Now I'll create one more div and I'll say div class posted by image, and I'll give the image source as, currently it is empty, but we'll assign it later. And then I'll say mat card avatar. Okay, so this is done, and we need to specify one more div, and that will give a style to that. This will be margin left 10 pixels. Okay, and margin top 5 pixels. Okay, so we'll enclose this div. I think we have made it more complicated, but this will be fixed in just a minute. Okay, just bear with me. I'll add any dummy text here. Okay, I think we are done with this. We don't need this one. Okay, let's test this. Okay, so this is working. So I'll add the edit and delete buttons also. So this is just the last step, so let's work on that. So in this div, I'll assign I'll create a div. Okay, and I'll assign a button, give it a style, margin. I know this is not a good practice of giving inline styling, but you can create a separate class and you can assign different uh, uh, you can assign style in the different class, but for the sake of this video I am assigning this. Okay, create a function, name edit shop, and okay, currently this is empty, and I'll assign this button color as primary. Okay, and the name of this button will be edit. Okay, so this div is complete, and also we can assign a icon to this. That icon name will be edit. So I'll copy this button again and I'll add this. Then I'll say so now I don't need any margin in this button, and also I'll say delete shop. Okay, we need to pass some ID, but we'll be doing that later. And also I'll change this color. Okay, I'll say this as font, and I'll delete, and I'll name this button as delete, and also the icon will be delete. Hit save. Okay, now we need to assign this function in the ts file. We'll implement this later, we are just assigning it. Also similarly for the delete shop. Okay, hit save. I think there will be no error now. You can check that. Okay, so there is some problem. This needs to be inside this, so we'll fix that. Okay, so for fixing this, we need to include this mat icon inside this. Okay, so I'll add it here. Similarly for this, I'll add this here. Okay, we'll see if this works or not. Okay, so now it's working. Okay, so there is one more thing we need to fix. We need to remove this div. Okay, so this all will be contained in this single div. Okay, so and we need to remove this also. Okay, hit save. Now this will, two buttons will be aligned perfectly. Okay, so this is what we need. So now we can work on getting the data from the backend and displaying it here, and also we can work on the edit, update and delete functionality. Okay, I'll create a function named get all shops that will get all the shops that are present in the database. And first I'll create that function in the shop service. Okay, so I'll go to the service file. So currently I am only creating this post operation, right? I'm just only posting the shop details. So now we need to create a function for getting the shop. So now we need to create a function for getting the shop details, so it will be a get function. So I'll name it as get shop. Okay, and I'll say return this dot http dot get. So before doing that, we need to create a model of our shop. Okay, basically an interface. So okay, so create a go to app, create a folder, name model. Okay, name it as shop.ts, and copy and paste all of this. If we are using get shop, then we need to define what kind of data we are expecting, and what type of data we are posting, we are saving to the database. Okay, so for that we have defined this shop details. So it is basically the same as what we created in the dialog. If I go here, so this is the form that we created, right? So all this data we are basically posting to the backend, and also we are getting it. Okay, so that's so this will be the same as all the form contents. So I'll go to shops service, and we'll work on this get shop details. So now this is interesting. Okay, so if I go back to my real-time database, so previously we only posted one shop details, right? So some unique ID is being generated. So if I add one more shop, okay, so we'll do that now only. So I'll to add any random values, and this I'll use Twitter. I'll add phone number, shop timings, shop details, add, post saved successfully. Now I'll go to my real-time database. So now if you see, one more random ID is generated, and in that ID there is an object which contains all our details. Okay, so now what I need to do, I'm saying that I am expecting a result, okay, of type object, and that object contains an array. Okay, in that array I am having a ID of type string. Okay, and that contains data of type shop. Okay, if that didn't make any sense, wait, I'll tell you. We'll first import this. So what I'm saying, I'm expecting a result of type object, and that object contains an array. Okay, and that array has multiple IDs, and all of that multiple IDs contain data of type shop. Okay, so this is the thing we need to specify. We need to specify what kind of data we'll be receiving. So I'll copy this API, and I'll paste it down here also, and then I'll say pipe map. I'm getting the posts. Okay, now I'll say let shops. I'm saving all the shop data that I'm getting. For example, currently there are two values. Okay, so now I'm storing the two values in a variable named shops data. Okay, I'll iterate over this for let ID in posts. So I'm iterating over all the IDs. So these are the IDs. Okay, so I'm iterating over IDs in this shop list. Okay, now I'm saying shop data dot push. I'll use a spread operator dot push ID from ID. This will be triple dots, will be posts. Okay, now I'm saying return this shops data. I know you guys got a little bit confused in this, so I'll explain that again. Okay, so first let's run this and see what kind of data we are getting, and then I'll go into this detail. Okay, so first we need to fix this error, so we need to import this map. So I'll import this from RxJS operators, hit save, and I'll get back to this. Go to the TS file and get all shops. Now we can inject this service, shop service, and we can get the data, and then we can see what kind of data we are getting. So I'll say shop service. I'll inject the shop service, get all shops. I'll say this dot shop service dot get shop, and I'll subscribe to it. Okay, I'll create a variable, okay, of type any. Console.log res. Okay, hit save. Okay, now we need to call this function on ng on init also. So ng on init is the root of our component. So whenever the component is initialized, this is called. So I'll call this function here. Okay, hit save. Now let's see what is the type of data that we are getting. Go to console, and if you see, there are two datas currently. Okay, so I'm getting this data as an array of objects. Okay, so let's go back to the shop service. Okay, if you want, you can remove this also, we don't need this part. So now what I'm saying, I'll go to the console Firebase. Okay, so I'm saying there is an object which contains an array. Okay, and that array has some ID, and that ID contains another object which contains the data of type shop. Okay, so I'm saying I'm expecting this kind of data, and once I'm receiving this data, I'm receiving that data in the posts. So what I'm doing, I'm iterating over that post, and I'm pushing all the data. So spread operator will create a separate, the spread operator will see this ID and push all the data according of different ID in this shop data. Okay, and then we are returning it. So I'll hit save. Let's see what's the console log. Okay, we are getting the same data. So now we can work on edit and update also. So I'll create a function for edit and update. So now I'll create a function for update shop. Okay, so I'll say update shop. I'll pass on the data that I need to update. I'll pass that from the when I'll hit this edit button, so I'll pass all the data to this service. And okay, so, and I'll pass the ID also which I need to update, and I'll say return this dot http dot put. So these are the basic http operations: get, delete, put. Okay, so put means updating the data. So I'll copy this. Okay, I'll pass this and also pass the data to it, and we need to modify a particular ID, right? So I'll give you a demo for that. Okay, first what I can do, I'll modify this. I'll say this. Okay, wait, I'll say this. I'm also passing a ID here. Okay, okay, so I am passing a ID here. Okay, so I'll tell you why I'm passing ID here. If I go back to the Firebase console, and if I click on this, if you see here that the API, if I click on this particular ID, right, so what will happen, this shop list, and in the URL I'm getting this ID. Okay, so if I need to update this, so I need to pass this ID also. Okay, so this will be for update, and similarly for delete, you can copy this function, paste this. I'll rename this, and for delete function we are not passing any data. Okay, so I'll say http dot delete. So this is what we are doing. Okay, if you want to delete something, first I'll go back. If I want to delete something, for example, if I want to delete this, I'll go so I'll delete this particular ID. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Okay, now go back to Angular material and search for table. Go for example, and go in example and search for pagination. Okay, so if you find this one, data table with sorting, pagination and filtering, if you see, we can search a particular data and we'll get the result according to that. Okay, and there is a pagination also. So this is exactly what we need. So what we will be doing, we have already imported the filter and this pagination part. Okay, if you can see here, filter and pagination is also there. So we just need to connect this data to our this card data. Okay, so what we'll do, I'll open this code, okay, and go to the TS file. So if you see here, they are creating multiple arrays, okay, multiple arrays of data. Okay, then they are creating this, then they are using this view child for mat sort and mat paginator, and they are passing all the data that they are receiving to this data source, and also they are passing the data to paginator and sort. So both so all the data will be in sync. Okay, so the sort also and the paginator also, so we'll be implementing the same functionality. Okay, so let's go back to the code, and first I'll copy these two, view child, mat paginator and mat sort. Okay, so copy this here and also import all the necessary imports for this. Now I'll create a okay, so now this is done. Now we can come down, and in the get all shop section, what I can do in this, currently we are subscribing to the get shop data, so we are getting all the data in this res variable. So what I will do, I'll say this dot data source is equal to new mat table data source, and I'll assign the data that is coming to this data source. Okay, now I'll say this dot data source dot paginator, this dot paginator. So what I'm saying, I'll assigning the paginator of this data source. Okay, I'm assigning to this paginator in this view child, and similarly for sort also we need to pass this. Okay, so this is exactly what they are also doing. They are in the data source, they are passing the data which they are receiving from the service. Currently this user they are creating as constant, but we need to pass the paginator and sort data to data source paginator and sort also. Okay, so now I'll say I'll create one more variable, and I'll create an observable of type any. Okay, now I'll say this dot obs is equal to this dot data source dot connect. Okay, and if there is any error, so we'll handle it, and we'll say alert some error while fetching data. Okay, so now we have all the variable in this observable. So we created this obs observable, so this variable will contain all the data that is coming from this get shop API. Okay, now go back to the HTML, and in mat card I'll iterate over this variable observable, okay, which contains all the data that is coming from the API. So I'll say let data of obs. Since this is an observable, I need to add a sync pipe. In this src, I'll say data dot shop image. Okay, so currently we have we are having two datas in our Firebase database. Okay, so that data also contains this shop image and all the other fields. Okay, so similarly we can assign this for all the fields. I can say data dot shop name. I'll copy this and I'll add this here also, address, and in src section I'll say data dot shop image. Okay, now for this shop details, after this I can assign data dot shop number. I'll copy this and I'll add here also. So this will be shop timings, this will be shop category, and this will be shop description. Okay, so let's test this. Okay, so now our data is coming and it is being displayed, but there is some issue with timings, so we misspelled it. So this will be shop timings. Okay, so now our data, multiple data is being displayed. Okay, because we are iterating over this loop, we are iterating over this OBS very observable, which contains two data. So in the ng for loop, this will be run 2 times and all the data will be displayed. Okay, so now in the get all shops I can do one more thing. I'll say while subscribing to the data, if the length of the data, if there is no data, then I'll say this dot, I'll create a variable. Okay, I'll say no shop entries, and currently and initially it will be false. Okay, and then I can say this dot no shop entries is equal to true. So when this will be true, we'll be displaying that currently we don't have any data to display. Otherwise, if the length is greater than 0, then we have something to display. Okay, so then we'll display the else block. So yeah, this is pretty much it. And similarly we need to modify our HTML. Okay, so here I'll display this div only if no shop entries is equal to false. Okay, so if our if we have data, then we'll be displaying the data, and if we don't have any data, then we will be not be displaying the paginator and the filtering will be displaying this. So I'll create one more div and I'll say ng if no shop entries is equal to true. Okay, then I'll say mat card style. Okay, I'll assign some custom size here. I'll say font size will be 20 pixels and font weight should be 400, and also the margin bottom should be 100 pixel. Okay, now we can display looks like no shop is present. We'll ask the user to display be the first one to add the data, be the first one to post the shop. Okay, we'll add a smiley. Let's see if this works or not. So we'll display this. Okay, if the data is there, and if there is no data, okay, I cannot delete this from here, so we'll demo this. Okay, I'll delete this from here, and also I'll delete this from here. So currently we don't have any data. Okay, wait, I'll delete this. So currently we don't have any data, and if I reload this page, so we'll be displayed this div. Okay, and also I'll quickly add a shop detail. Okay, so our shop is added successfully. I'll reload the page, so I'll be able to see the shop, and if there is any error, so this error block should be displayed. So what I'll do to simulate this, I'll go to this get shop. Okay, So I'll change this URL. Okay, so this is incorrect URL. So now we won't be able to get this data. So it will display some error while fetching the data. Okay, so data will not be displayed. So I'll fix this. So now the URL is correct, so our data is coming. Okay, so now this get data is working fine. Okay, so now we can work on this edit shop and delete shop. So in the edit shop we need to pass the data. So I'll say data. So in edit shop we need to pass this data. Okay, so this data is coming from this observable variable. Okay, so we are iterating through this. So this is similar to this for let I of OBS. Okay, so we are passing this I here. Okay, so while editing the data we are passing the data, so we'll receive this in our TS file. Okay, let's go to the TS file, and in the edit shop we are receiving a data. I can name this anything. Okay, now I can say, so while editing the shop, what is the functionality that I want. Okay, so when I am editing it, for example, if I'll go to my page, if I press on the edit button, so what I want that all the field value should be pre-patched, okay, to the form. I don't want, for example, if I click this button, this shouldn't be empty. So if the user clicks the button, it shouldn't be empty. Okay, it should be filled with the data. So we'll try to implement this. So let's go to our VS Code, and I'll say this dot dialog dot open. Okay, so we need to inject this dialog. Okay, so I'll say this dot dialog dot open. Okay, so we previously used dialog in our dialog component, so similarly what we will be doing that only. So I'll go to this our material library, and I'll search for dialog. So I'll copy this one, mat dialog, and I'll paste it here. Also I think we need to inject it, so in the constructor we'll inject this dialog. Okay, so let's inject this here. So now I'll be able to open this dialog box. Okay, so what should I open? On click of this button I should open the dialog component. Okay, let's see if this is working or not. Let's go back to the component. When I click the edit button, I should be able to open the dialog box, but I want that the value should be pre-populated. Okay, so let's do that. So this has one more parameter. So what we can pass width also. So I think width should be 100%. Also this should be done in this dialog box also. So previously we created this dialog box. I'll search for it. Okay, this is not here, this will be here. Okay, so we need to pass one more parameter here, and I'll say width should be 100%. Okay, so now go to this dashboard. So I'll pass so this has one more parameter, which is data. So we can pass the data which is coming from this shop data. Okay, so we'll test this. Go back, and when I hit the click on this edit data, all the data should be pre-populated, but it is not getting pre-populated. Okay, we'll fix that. Okay, so we are not getting that data. So let me console log the value that is coming from this. So I'll say console.log shop data. Okay, so let's see what's the data that is coming from this. Okay, basically we are passing that data from this this for loop. Okay, so let's see here, inspect console, and I'll click on this edit button. So yeah, data is coming, but it is not getting patched, so we need to fix that. Okay, so I'll go back, I'll remove this console log. So in the dialog component we need to create one variable, edit mode. Okay, so initially it will be false, and we need to inject mat dialog data. So I'll fix this. I'll import this inject from Angular core, and we also need to import this Angular mat dialog data, so that will contain this data. Okay, so on the ng on init we are initializing the form, and here only we'll say if we have this dot edit data. So this mat dialog data contains the data of the form. So if the data is present, so I'll say this dot edit mode is equal to true. Okay, so if you are using Angular 13, so you might be having some problem in this. So if you are having this problem, if you are getting any kind of error while using this, so in the tsconfig.json, what you can do, you can make this value as false. Okay, so yeah, so what I will do, I'll copy this one, and similarly I'll do this for all the form values. Okay, I'll copy this, and I'll start doing this. So for the user image I have already done that. So for the username I'll do this. So currently we don't get this username in this form field, right? So we'll be getting this only when we'll be implementing login and sign up. So there we'll be getting the username and user image. So that's why for now I have set this validators as not required. Okay, so now I'll assign all the values here for the shop name. If you want, you can skip this video until this is done. Shop name, similarly for shop address. Okay, so this is also done. Shop image, so we'll need one more of this. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here, and this will be for shop description. This is the last one. Hit save. Now let's see if this is working or not. Go back to the page. Okay, I'll close the all other tabs. Let's see if it is working or not. So I'll hit the edit button and see if the values are getting populated or not. So it is not getting populated. Okay, to fix this, what we need to do, cut this, and basically we need to add it to our constructor. Okay, we need to inject it, we don't need to initialize it there. So if I add it in the constructor and go to our page, and if I click on the edit button, so we'll be getting all the values. Okay, so now we are getting the values. Okay, so we need to change one more thing. For example, if when we are clicking this edit button, so this add button needs to update. Okay, so we can do this. So I'll create a flag and I'll name that value as button current value. Okay, and current initially it will be save, so we'll do this as save. Okay, and while we are editing this data, so we can change it here. So I can say here update, and we need to add this dot here, this dot button current value is equal to update. So let's see if this is working. I'll go back, and while I'm adding my shop, this should be add only, and while I'm editing the shop, it should be update. Okay, this is not working, so let me check. We need to modify this in HTML also. So in the HTML there is one add button, so here we need to update the value. Okay, so I'll say what was the name of the variable, so I'll copy this one and I'll add it to the HTML. So I think this will work now. Let's go back and test it. So it is coming as save, and while I click the edit button, so this is update. Okay, so this is working fine. Let's go back to the TS page. And also in this add shop function we need to add one more condition. So we'll be checking if we have, if we are not updating the data. Okay, if there is no added data, then I'll call this function. Okay, I'll cut this, so this will always be in the top. If this if condition, I'll say else. So in the else block I'll write if there is no data to edit, that means we are saving the data. Okay, otherwise I'll say else we need to update the shop details. So we'll create this function. Okay, first there is one semicolon missing. Now we'll create this update shop function. Okay, so what I'm saying, if form is invalid, return, otherwise else. If there is no data to edit, that means we are saving the data. Okay, and if there is, if the edit data is already present, so then we need to update the data. Okay, and also here we need to handle the case for error. So if there is any kind of any error, so I'll say alert your post did not saved successfully. Okay, so we'll add this. And for the update shop function, I'll say this dot shop service dot. So previously I'll go to shop service. So previously we created this function for updating our user data. Okay, so we'll use this function. So I'll say this dot shop service dot update shop, and we'll be passing the form value shop form dot value, and we'll pass this dot edit data dot id. Okay, so this id will be this id. Okay, so we need to, if I go to shop service, we need to pass the form data and also the id, so we are passing both of it. Okay, so now we'll subscribe to this and we'll be getting some response. So based on that we'll say alert. If it is successful, I'll say data updated successfully, and I'll close the dialog box. So for first I'll reset the form. Okay, then I'll say this dot dialog reference, which is a reference to this dialog box. So I'll close this and I can add any message. So I'll say I close the update one. Okay, and if there is any kind of error in this, so I'll say I'll handle this case also. So I'll say alert. For example, if our service is down or we have provided the wrong API, so this will not be able to update the data. Okay, so I'll say could not update data. So I think this is pretty much done. So now let's, everything that we need to do is in the dashboard component. So let's go back to the dashboard component. So we are successfully passing this data, we are opening the dialog box and we are setting the data, and there is one more observable from this dialog component, that is after closed. Okay, so if our dialog box is closed, so we can subscribe to it and listen to that event. So I'll say subscribe and I'll pass a value, and this will be receiving some value. So if value is equal to update. Okay, so we are passing this message. Okay, so if we are closing this and we are passing this message as update, so now we are receiving it. So if value is update, okay, then I'll say get me all the shops again. So this page will be reloaded. Once we added the form, so the form will be closed and immediately the page will be refreshed and we'll get the updated value. Okay, so I'll write the function for delete shop also. So in the delete shop, I'm passing one id. So in this delete shop we need to pass id also. So I'll say data.id. Okay, So in this one, so this ID is same as this one. Okay, so first I'll prompt the user to make sure that he really wants to delete the data, because so we should ask the user whether he wants to delete the data or not. So it should not be a one click action. So I'll say, are you sure you want to delete this shop? Okay, if this is confirmed, so I'll say this dot shop service dot, I'll call the function from this shop service. Okay, I'll show you this one. So we created this function, okay, where we are, okay, this is not the function. I'll go to shop service. Okay, I'm deleting this, I'm passing one ID and I'm deleting that. Okay, so I'll go to this dashboard component.ts and I'll say delete shop, and I'll pass this ID which is coming from that. So I'll say ID and I'll subscribe to this, and I'll be getting some response. Okay, and I'll say alert. If this is successful, I'll say shop deleted successfully. Okay, and again I'll run this function, this .get all function, because if we are updating some data, so we need to call this function again, so we'll get the updated data. Okay, now we'll handle the error also. So I'll say alert shop could not be deleted. Okay, let's test this scenario. So first I'll try to update some values. So I'll say I'll update something, and I'll say update data updated successfully. So remember this, we updated this. So now our data is being updated, and if you see, we don't need to reload the page, because what we did here, so when we are editing, so this, what this function is doing, after we close this form, so we are again subscribing, and then we are again calling this get all shops. So we are again getting so after the update we are getting the latest values. Okay, so similarly for delete also, when I'll delete, I'll again call this function, so I'll get the delete the updated value. Okay, so we'll check for the delete functionality also. So somehow if you see, the delete is not working. Okay, so we'll need to check that. So I'll console log the ID that is coming. Okay, so let's see what's the ID. So I'll press the delete button and see what's the value of the ID. So it's coming as undefined. Okay, so to fix that, we need to go to shop service.ts, and also I need to pass the ID, okay, to the shops data. So I'll go back and see if this is working or not. So I'll delete this shop. Okay, so now this is working. Okay, I'll add the shop again for the demo purpose. I'll add the image, phone number, shop timings. Okay, so there is one more issue here. So when I hit enter, so this text field is also being displayed, so we need to fix that also. So for fixing that, we need to go to Dialog Component. So I'll go to Dialog Component, and in the add function, to fix this, we need to basically add this code. Okay, so hit save, and we'll test this again. Now add your shop, and if you see this, now if I hit enter, so the next field will be field will be empty. Okay, and also this is new fruit. Okay, so we need to change this also. So here we can, instead of new fruit, I'll search for fruit, and instead of new fruit I can say new category. Okay, so this is pretty much it. This was the fix. Okay, so we will now implement this filter. Okay, so in the HTML we have already defined this apply filter function. So if I go back to Angular material, and in the dialog component, basically in the table component, let's go to example and search for pagination. So there is sorting also. Okay, so click on view code, go to ts file, and there is a function for apply filter. Okay, so I'll copy this one and I'll paste it down here. Okay, so this apply filter function will be used here. So in this apply filter function, I'll copy this and replace it with this. So I think now we are good. So all our basic, so all our, so now this is completed. So now filter will also work, and also the pagination will also work. So currently we have only one field, so I'll quickly add 10 more fields. Okay, so you can skip this part of the video. So I've added 12 fields if you see here. So there are 12 fields exactly. So I'll navigate to the second page. So if you see, the pagination is also working. Okay, so now we will focus on this your shop section. So I'll in the new terminal, I'll say ng generate component, and I'll go to the components folder, and I'll create my shop section component. Okay, so now this component is generated. Now the most easiest part of this app is adding Firebase authentication. Okay, so we'll add authentication to it. So now go to your Firebase console and click on authentication, and in the authentication tab, click on get started. Now we'll be only going with Google authentication, but you can also add other authentication methods. Okay, so I'll click on this Google authentication, click on enable, and provide your email address. Okay, now click on save. So that's it, our Google authentication is completed. So now we need to include that in our code. So we'll start off with this home component. Okay, so in the home component.ts, we need to inject the Firebase auth module. So I'll say af auth, and I'll say Angular fire auth. Okay, so we need to import this. So I'll say import Angular fire auth from Angular fire compat auth. Okay, so now this error will be removed. Okay, so adding authentication in Firebase using Google is very simple. You just have to create two functions. Okay, there are two liners function. Okay, so I'll create this function, one function for sign in. Okay, so I'll say const Google auth provider new Firebase. Okay, so we need to import this also. So I'll say import Firebase from Firebase compat app. Okay, so now I'll say new Firebase dot auth dot Google auth provider. Okay, now I'll say this dot af auth. This is the injection. Okay, so now I'll say this dot af auth dot sign in with pop up, and I'll pass on this Google auth provider. So this is it. This is it. Okay, this is simply it. So see how simple it is to add sign in functionality, and similarly I'll add it for sign out also. So I'll say sign out, I'll make this capital, and I'll say this dot af auth dot sign out. Okay, so that's it. So now we need to so now I'll add this in our HTML also. So in the buttons that we created, so we'll conditionally show sign in and sign out based on the user's current status. Okay, so I'll add ng if condition here, and I'll say ng if. So to get the user current status, so I'll say af auth. This is the dependency injection of the Angular Firebase auth module. So this gives me one observable which we can check whether which gives me the current status of the user. If it is if the user is currently logged in, so this is not null, and if the user is not logged in, so it displays it gives us null. Okay, so in the sign in, I'll say if it is null, okay, if it is null, then that means the user is not authenticated. And also I'll add the click element, and I'll say sign in. This is the function we just created, and also I'll add ng if conditions to the second button also. So this sign in button will only be displayed if the user, so this sign out button will only be displayed if the user is currently logged in. Okay, so I'll say click, run this sign out function. Okay, let's check this, hit save, go back. So currently we are not logged in, so we are prompted to sign in. So I'll sign in with any of my account. So now I'm signed in, and this status is, so this button is changed to sign out now. So this is as simple as it can get to add authentication. It's just a matter of 5 or 6 line of code to add authentication to any of your project if you are using Firebase. Okay, so I'll head back to the component, and I'll create a new component. I'll say ng generate component, and I'll into the components folder I'll create one more component, that is MyShops. Okay, so now we'll be creating these 3 components. Okay, I'll reload this page. So I'll be creating this shop component, and then the about component, and the sign in and sign out page component. So only 3 components are remaining, so let's create them. So I'll say ng generate components, then I'll say about. So this will be our about page. Let's see if the component is successfully created or not. I'll hit the reload page. Yeah, so it's successfully created. And now create one more component and name it sign in. So this will be our sign in page. So basically will show users a message to sign in. Okay, so now in your home component.ts we need to disable one thing. Okay, so if you see here, if I am signed out, then also I am able to add my shop. Okay, so sorry, here, so if I sign out from here and I add your shop button, so I'm able to add my shop, but this should not be the case. Okay, because if I am not logged in, I should not be able to add my shop. So I'll prompt the user to sign in first. Okay, so we'll fix that also. So I'll make this function as async, and I'll get the current user status, whether the user is currently logged in or not. So this is an async function, so I need to, so this function call will be happening as asynchronous. So I'll add this await keyword here, and I'll in this af auth we injected here, so this is for Angular Fire auth. So I'll say this dot af auth dot give me the current user status. Okay, so I'll create one variable, I'll name it const is authenticated. Okay, so I'll get this from this user variable, what is the status. If the user is authenticated, then I'll say if so this user, if the user is authenticated, then the value will be not null, and if the user is not authenticated, then the value will be null. Okay, so I'm writing this ternary operator, here. Okay, so if the user is not authenticated, so I'll navigate to the sign in page. Okay, also we need to import this router, so I'll say public router. So we need to inject this router from Angular router. Okay, make sure you import it in your IDE. Okay, so I'll say this dot router dot not negative, I'll say navigate. I'll just use navigate, and then I'll say sign in to sign in page. Okay, otherwise if the user is logged in, so I'll be very happy to open this form. Okay, so now the user can open this form and can add his shop. So hit save. Okay, so now this is done. So our home page is completed. Okay, so now if I try to sign in, I'll be navigated to the sign in page, but this will give me a error because we didn't. So this will not, so this is not working because we didn't defined our sign in route in app routing module.ts. So I'll do that now. So here I will say, so now here I will define all my routes. Okay, so this is sign. Okay, first I will copy all of this. Okay, now I can say sign in. So if the user goes to the sign in page, so display him the sign in component, and if he navigates to my shops, then show my shops component, and if he navigates to about page, then we can show the about page. Now hit save. So now this will work. So currently I'm not signed in, and if I try to add my shop, so I'm navigated to this sign in and sign out page. Okay, so this is working. Now we need to work on these 3 pages, so then we are pretty much done. So I'll go to your shop section, and first we'll create this. So open this myshop.html. So if you see here in the your shop section, so first I'll sign into this. So if I sign into this, and if I go to the your shop sections, so if you see here, this is exactly similar to the home page, just the changes that we need to show only the shop posted by us. Okay, so now go to this your shops.component.css and copy this. I'll paste this. So I'll be providing this GitHub link in description, so you can copy it from there. So I'll paste this in my myshop.css. So I'll paste this. So this will be exactly similar to dashboard component.css with minimal changes. Okay, so you can look that. So this CSS part is completed. Okay, so now we'll copy all of this and we'll paste this in HTML, because this, both the components are similar. Okay, so we just need to change some functionality. So this will all be similar, and instead of Chukwala shops, I need to display my shops. I'll hit save, and first we'll add all these functions so we don't get any error. So I'll say this. So I'll add this property, so this error will be removed. So I'll say it is false. Okay, so now we need to define this OBS, so I can go to this dashboard component.css, and I'll copy this and I'll paste it in my shop.component.ts, and I'll import this observable from rxjs. Okay, now we need to fix the 2 errors, so I'll define these 2 functions, so this error will be gone. Okay, so now we need to define one more function, which is delete shop. Okay, I'll hit save and see what's the content displayed in the my shop section. Okay, so we are able to see this. That's nice. So let's work on the implementation part. So first I'll be adding authentication to it. So I'll go to myshop.component.ts, and then we need to again copy all of this. So I'll go to dashboard component.ts, and I'll copy all of this and I'll paste it here. So these all things we need to import, so import it carefully. This also we need to import it from import view chat from Angular core, import this from paginator. Okay, we also need to import shop service, we also need to import mat dialog. Okay, now I'll inject, so now I'll work on this authentication part. So I'll say private, I'll say public AF auth Angular fire auth. So I'll import this, and also I'll import the router from Angular core. I'll say public router. Okay, so this is also imported. Now in the constructor I will get the current user status, whether the user is currently logged in or not. So this contains one function which is known as auth state, and I can subscribe to it, so I can get the current user status. Okay, I'll subscribe to it. If user is logged in, so the value will not be null, so I'll create one variable UID, and I'll assign this type any, and also I'll say UID name. This will be of type any. Hit save. Now if user is currently logged in, then I want to get what's the user ID. So I'll say this, I'll assign this user ID from the user ID. Okay, and also if the user is logged in, so I want the name to also to be stored in this variable, so I can display the username in the page. So I'll say display name. So I'll tell you what will be displayed if the user is logged in. If I console log this user, so we'll see all the details about that user. Okay, so let's go here. I'll try to sign in. Inspect. Now go to console. If you see, this user variable contains different parts like auth, authorization, display name, so we can take advantage of this and get the user details. Okay, so this will only be visible if the user is logged in, so we are getting the user display name and the UID. So if the user is logged in, so I'll say ng if auth af auth dot auth state. I'll add the sync pipe because this is an asynchronous operation. So if the user is currently logged in, so I'll say a list of all the shops around Chukkwala. I'll say list of all the shops hosted by the UID name that we just currently saved in this variable. Okay, else I'll say I'll copy all of this, and if the user is null, okay, then I can say you must be logged in to view your shops. Okay, now copy this and add this condition here also. So we will display search a shop only when the user is authenticated, otherwise we'll hide it. Okay, and we'll make one more condition. I'll say and no shop entries should be equal to false. Okay, so let's come down and I'll add ng if condition here also. So we'll display the edit and delete function only when the user is currently signed in. Okay, so I'll add this. And I will also add this ng if condition here. So basically I'll be merging these two. So I'll say and no shop entries is equal to true. If there is no shop here, then I'll say that the user has not added any shop. Okay, and I'll create one more condition. If the user is currently not logged in, so I'll display in the mat card, I'll say that looks like you are not logged in, log in to add your shop. Okay, so let's test this. We need to do one more thing. So we need to go up and we need to copy this. Okay, we need to cut this. Okay, wait, I'll cut this and I'll create one more div and I'll add this condition here. Now cut this div and close it right after this mat paginator. So this is already closed. I think we are missing one div, so I think I need to add a div here. Okay, I'll add this div here and let's see where this div is getting closed. Okay, so I'll enclose all of this div in this. Okay, so what we are saying that if the user is not logged in and there are no shop entries, so we should not display any of this card. Okay, instead what we will be displaying, if the user is null, that you must be logged in. So let's see if this is working or not. Okay, so this is working. Perfect. And also we need to remove this. Okay, so this is working for us. So now go back to the component.ts file, go to dashboard.component.ts file and copy this same function again and paste it in myshop.component.ts. okay, and we need to import this dialog component so all our errors are removed. And in the ng on init, I'll say if I'll get the user auth state, so if user is authenticated, then I'll call this get all shop function, which will display all the shop details. Okay, so if I go back to my page and sign in, so in the your shop section, I'll be getting all the posts, but I should only be getting the post that is created by me. Okay, so we need to fix that. So I'll go to my shops. So I'll go to shop.service.ts and I'll create one more function. Okay, so I'll copy this same function get shop and I'll name this get user shops. Okay, so this all will be same. Okay, but instead of getting all the data, I will only get the data. Okay, first I'll write this code, then I'll explain it. I'll create this empty array. Okay, so in this array I'll filter the data which has the same UID as the current logged in user. Okay, return result. So we need to get the current UID. So in the constructor, first I'll inject the Angular Firebase auth module Firebase. I'll copy it from here, go up, go to myshop.ts. Now copy this and add it to your shop.service.ts. Okay, import this. Now in the constructor I'll create a variable named UID of type any. So I'll subscribe to this auth state and I'll get the current logged in user status. If the user is logged in, then I need to store the UID of the current user from this user variable. Okay, so now our user ID variable is stored. So I'll create one more array, let result. So I'm filtering the data based on the UID. If the UID of the if the UID in the data is similar to the UID of the current logged in user, then I'll display the result of only that user. Okay, I'll go back to my myshop.component.ts, and here instead of get shop I can say get user shops. Now hit save. So currently this will not work, because if I go to the Firebase console and if we look at our data, okay, so if I open any of this data, so if you see the UID, user image and username is empty, so we need to fill this. Okay, then only we'll be able to filter the data by their UID. So in order to fix this, first we need to clear our database. So if you have entered any values, you need to clear this database. So I'll clear all of them. Okay, I'll delete all the data. Okay, so now our data is cleaned. So what we can do, we can go back to your dialog component.ts. So if you see here, like we mentioned this UID and user image, username, we will be adding this later. So that's why I removed this validator not required. So I removed it because in that case, if the submit button would have been disabled. Okay, so what we are going to do, so now we'll be getting this UID, username and user image when the user logs in from the Google account. Okay, so we are in the constructor only we need to subscribe to the AF auth, Angular Fire auth, and we need to get the current state of the user state. If the user is logged in, then only we'll be able to get this UID, username and image. So let's start in the constructor. So the difference between the constructor and ng on init is the constructor is called first during the component initialization, and then the ng on init is called. So before the calling of the ng on init, we are subscribing to this of AF auth. Okay, the Firebase authentication module. So also first we need to define this AF auth. So I'll go back to home component and I'll copy this Angular Fire auth. Oops, I'll copy this and I'll paste it here in the constructor. Okay, we need to import this, so I'll import this from my VS Code IDE. Okay, so now I need to subscribe. So this AF auth, Angular Fire auth has a function auth state to which we can subscribe and we can get the user current status. Okay, so I'll subscribe to this. Then if user is currently logged in, then I need to store all the UID, user image and username. So these all are the things. Okay, so I'll first create a variable. I'll name it username, then I'll create user image and I'll create the UID. So I'll say this dot UID user dot UID. So similarly for username, I'll say this dot username is equal to user dot display name, and then I'll say this dot user image is equal to user dot photo URL. Okay, so now we'll be getting all these values when the user is logged in. So now we are getting the values on the constructor, but during when the user is submitting this form, we need to pass all these values. Okay, because now we have made, so because now we are going to make these values as required. So if the user so user needs to provide these values. Okay, so I'll copy all of this and I'll paste it here also. So now we need to pass this data, UID, user image and username. So how we can do this? So currently we are uploading our image. So while uploading this image, we are passing the shop image. Like when we are uploading our shop image, we are passing the shop URL while we are uploading the image. So similarly, I can also pass the UID of the current user. I'll say this dot UID. So currently we are patching the form value. Okay, patch value means like we are appending the values to the our form. So similarly for username, I'll say this dot. Okay, I made a mistake here. It will be username. Why it's automatically inferring this? Username is equal to this dot username, and similarly for user image, it will be this dot user image. Okay, hit save. Now go back. So I'll try to submit the form again. Add your shop and see if the values are getting the UID, username and user image are getting uploaded or not. So I'm currently logged in with my account, so I'll randomly fill some form. I'll type anything here. Okay, okay, somehow this save is still disabled, so we are making some mistake in the form. So let's go back and analyze it. Okay, so we made some mistake. We are both assigning this as username. So instead of username, this will be instead of user image, this will be username. So I'll hit save. Now our username will also get uploaded. So let's try this, whether it is working or not. I'll upload any file and I'll put any number, shop category, shop details, hit save. So now our save button is not disabled because our form is valid, because every data we are able to put in this form. So post is saved successfully. Let's see in the Firebase console. Okay, so this object is being created, and if you see here, like the UID, user image and username are all coming from this. Like when the user is currently logged in, then only we are getting this data from this AF auth, Angular Fire auth. We are subscribing to it and we are getting all the data. So now if I go to my your shop section, I'll be able to see the post that are only created by me. Okay, and in the home page we are going to show all the shops that are created by other users also. So now we'll test it. So I've currently logged in with my other user. So now let's try to add our shop. I'll name it anything. So I'll say okay, let's put anything, hit save. Now our post is saved. Let's check in the Firebase console. Okay, so this is the ID that we created. Let's go to your shop and see if it is getting reflected. Okay, so now we are only able to see the shop that we posted, and in the home shop we are seeing that 2 shop. Okay, so this section is also working. Okay, so this part is done here. Now let's work on this about page. So I'll go back to my code and let's work on this about page. So for the about page, just copy the CSS that I am currently using. Okay, I'll not be explaining the CSS part. Copy it, paste it down here in the HTML. So in this about page, you can design the about page as your wish. Okay, if you want to design it like this, you can design it like this also. So it's your wish. Whatever you want to write in your about page, you can write it. Feel free to do anything. Okay, so now go back to the about page. Let's start. So in this about page, we are only going to write HTML also only. I think there is no functionality here. Okay, so TS file will mostly be empty. So assign it, create a div and give this div name header start section. So this is basically for this part. We are creating this layout. Okay, and create one more div. Now in that div, give it name header section. Create one more div, header headline. Create a heading, name it mat h1. Okay, I'll put my name, you can put anything. h2 class, give this heading a class mat h2, and you can put any content that you want. So I'll just copy it and paste it. So here you can put anything, so I'll paste it. Okay, you can put anything, any description that you want. So now this part is done. Hit save. Let's see what's the result. Okay, in the about page we are so this part is completed. Now we need to work on the other part. Okay, now create a div, give a style margin top of 40 pixels. Now create a heading, give it a style of font size 26 pixel, font weight of 500, and you can put any content that you want. Okay, now create, so this will be our heading. Now I'll put the content also. So similarly I'll copy this font size and I'll paste it here. Okay, give it a line height of 1.6, and font size will be, I'll give this font size a little bit less than the actual heading. So now put the content for this heading. So I'll just basically copy it. Paste the second content that I'm trying to write. So I'll provide my GitHub repository link for this current project. Okay, so now our content is done also. So this div is done. So let's see the result. Let's go back, and if you see, we are able to get the result, but somehow this is not working. We are not getting the margin from the left. So let's fix that. So to fix this, go back, and instead of margin top, it will be just margin. Okay, hit save. Let's see if it is working. Okay, so now we are getting the margin from left and from all the directions. Okay, so this is done. Now let's work on the navigation links. So we'll be creating similar to this. Okay, so let's head back to the code and let's create this particular div. Okay, feel free to connect with me on these platforms. So I'll create a div, give it a class connect. Make sure to give the same class that I'm currently giving, because we have already copied the CSS stylings. Feel free to modify according to your need. Okay, so this part is done. Now we'll create the links. Okay, so I'll give this a class connect with me, and basically we are going to create this ULLI, nested ULLI. So in this unordered list, I'll create a list item, and I'll give this a class of zoom, and I'll be creating this hyperlink where I'll be providing my Twitter handle. Okay, so you can give anything. Okay, so I'll just be putting twitter.com, and in the target, for if you want your link to be opened in a new tab, so you can give this target underscore blank, and in this hyperlink we are going to give a image tag. Okay, so basically we are using this image. So to get the icons like this, go to website icons 8, search for icons 8, not 9, it is basically icons 8. So go to this website and search for social media. Basically you can get any icons that you want, they have a lot of icons. So currently I'm using this Doodle one, so let's go ahead with this one. So this is for Twitter. Okay, so I'll download this, and if you want you can download it, but instead of that I'll be using a CDN. So now we don't have to download it, we can just copy this link and this will work for us. So I'll copy this, okay, and paste it in our code. So in this image tag, I'll remove this image tag and I'll copy this link. So let's see if this is working. Okay, so this is working for us. So now I'll name this also, I'll say Twitter. Okay, so similarly let's see if this is working. Okay, now our this Twitter paragraph is coming. So I'll copy this li item and I'll paste it like multiple times for different social medias. So currently I'll be posting only 3, okay, to save the length of this video. I know this video is getting very large. Okay, so next is we can do, let's do Instagram link. I'll copy this, and instead of image tag, so instead of image tag I'll replace this with Instagram. Okay, be careful to do it correctly, Instagram. And similarly, so TikTok we will not be doing it because I hate it. Let's do Medium, copy this and paste this here. Okay, I'll give this as Medium. Hit save. Let's see if this is working for us. Okay, so now this is working. You can add any much platform that you want. I think we are good for this. Let's go back. So our about page is completed. Now let's work on the sign in and sign out page, from where user can sign in and sign out. Okay, well, for example, currently if I log out, so we'll be redirecting user to the sign in sign out page if the user presses on the add your shop button. Okay, so let's work on this. I think we created this component earlier also, so let's go to the CSS and copy this. Okay, go to my repo, copy the stylings, paste it here. See, the stylings for all the fields are same. Okay, if you are thinking like I have to copy the CSS for every component, the styling, this header part, if you see here, this is same for every page. If you see, this is the common layout. So if you you don't only have to work for some, you only have to understand the CSS part of one component, and this will be the same for entire component. And also if I try to explain this in the video, it will get very big. So yeah, so let's work on this. I've copied the CSS. Let's go to the HTML and try to create the sign in page. So this is going to be easy. Let's copy the already copy this div here, that is common for every component that we use. So in the HTML I'll copy this, and let's modify this. Want to add your shop, and I'll say user, just click on the sign in button, After this h2 tag, create one more div, and I'll say header start, and I'll create two buttons. One is for sign in and one is for sign out. So if you see in my page, currently I'm not signed in. So if I'm not signed in, I will be showing this sign in button. If I sign in, this sign in button will change to sign out. Okay, so we need to work on this. So I'll give this a style of margin left 10 pixels. We are using the same material button that we are using in every other component. So, or basically I'll just copy it. So let's go back to the home component.html, search for button. Yeah, let's use this button. Okay, we'll be using both the buttons. Copy this and go to the sign in page, paste it here. I don't think we need to change anything here. It is giving us this error because we didn't define this function. Okay, so let's first define this function. Similarly, for what we did in all our components, we will be first checking whether the user is currently logged in or not. Okay, so let's go back in the constructor. I'll say public afauth from Angular fireauth. Okay, make sure to import this from this path. And for sign in and sign out, I'll copy the same function that we are currently using in our home component. So this thing, I'll copy this. Okay, so basically there are two ways from where we can sign into our page. First is this method, and another one is this sign in and sign out page. Okay, so let's copy this and paste it down here. Okay, so this is giving us error because we didn't import it. So let's copy this import from above, and this will be Firebase. Let's copy this and paste it in the TS file. Hit save. All our error will be gone. So now let's test this. Okay, so let's currently we are not logged in, so we are being displayed this sign in button. So I'll log in from here. Okay, so now we are logged in, so this button is changed to the sign out page because we wrote the ngIf condition. If we are currently logged in, we'll be showing this sign in sign out button, and if we are logged out, so we'll display this sign in button. Okay, so now this is working. We need to add one extra condition, so I'll create one more div. Okay, so I'll say div style. I'll give it a margin of 40 pixels. So basically we are saying if the user is currently logged in, so we can say like you can press on this add your shop button to add your shop. Okay, so this div will only be displayed if we are currently logged in. So same thing, I'll write this async pipe because this is an asynchronous operation. Okay, so in the mat card we can display, I'll give this a font size of 20 pixels, font weight of 400. Okay, and I'll say looks like you are already logged in, please click on add your shop button to add your shop. Let's check this. I'll sign in first. So if the user is logged in, this button state will change, and also will say that if you are signed in, you can press on this button to add your shop. Okay, so I think this is pretty much it. So yeah, also we need to change one more thing. Like currently if the user is logged in, then we need to display the name of the user. Okay, so we are currently logged in, so we should instead of user we should display the name of the user that who is currently logged in. So I'll sign out. While sign out we can say just welcome only, and if the user is currently logged in, we'll display the username. We will go back to the dashboard component and we need to write some ngif conditions. Okay, so I'll copy this div and I'll paste this one more time, and I'll put an ngif condition, and I'll display this only if the user is currently logged in. Okay, so I'll say if auth state sync as user, and if the user is currently logged in. Okay, so we didn't implemented this, so let's go back to the TS, and in the constructor we can again add a Angular Fire auth. Okay, so I'll copy this if auth, let's go back to dashboard component.ts, and I'll add it here. Also make sure to import it. Okay, hit save. Now let's go back to the HTML. Okay, so this async as user, so if the user is currently logged in, so we are storing that result in a user variable, and then we can just simply say user dot display name. Previously we saw in the dialog component that these are the variables emitted by this AF Angular Fire auth. Okay, so similarly for this in the HTML we are getting the display name and the display image URL, whatever we want we can take it. Okay, so I'll say user dot display name, and similarly for this I'll copy this, and if we are currently not logged in, okay, so I'll say enclose it in a bracket, and if it is currently null, okay, so I'll just display welcome. Instead of welcome user I'll say welcome. Okay, I think this should work, and I think we are pretty much done. So if I am not logged in, so it will display only welcome, and if I log in, so it will display our name also. Okay, so I think this is pretty much it. Okay, so I have created few posts, but first we need to fix two things. First is that posted by we are seeing the same details in every post, and also we are not able to see the images, so we need to fix that. And also while editing our data we need to patch the values for user ID, user image, and username. So yeah, let's fix both of these, and then we'll do the one round of full testing. So let's go back to our component, go to dashboard component.html. So if you see here we are hard coding these values. Okay, so we need to display like who is posting this data. So we already have created one variable data from which we are getting all the values. So here we'll be using data.username, so we'll get the username data, and posted by similarly in the user square brackets, then that means that is a property binding. So in posted by I'll say data.user image. Let's save it and see whether it is working or not. Okay, if you see here now I am getting the values posted, the image also, and whichever user posted this. Okay, so this is fixed. And the other fix is we need to go to dialog component.ts. Okay, so when we are editing our data we need to set values of all the forms when we are editing our data. For example, if I click edit, then all the values should be patched, so that we are already doing, but we need for the same for the UID and the username and user image. So let's see if we have done that in the UID. Okay, it is done. Username, user image. Yeah, so I think we are good here. Let's go back, and I think hopefully everything will be working fine. So first we'll test with filtering data. Okay, so I can filter for anything. If I want to filter with category, timing, so number, I can filter with anything. So I'll type 1414, so I'll get this only one post. Okay, now let's try something different. String that contains AF. Okay, like string contains this AF in this value, so we are getting all the results. So let's unfilter this data, and we'll see if the pagination works or not. So currently I am having 13 posts. So if you see per item per page we are displaying 10 posts. So if I navigate to the second page, I am seeing the 3 posts. Okay, and I know I haven't posted the shop details. I should have, but I didn't want it to post shop details near my locality. Okay, so yeah. So please don't think that I am lazy. If it is working fine for you, you can put any image or any description. Just for making this video tutorial fast and explainable, I am putting all this data like I've put some random data. Okay, and also in items per page you can like see different number of items also. If I do 25, then all the data will be displayed in one page. Okay, so let's try updating one data and deleting the data. So for the first data I'll try to update it. Let's update phone number. Okay, now let's put some real data. Okay, I'll put some random phone number and say shop name 1. Okay, let's update it. Data updated successfully, hit OK. So if you see here, the data is getting reflected. Okay, and if I try to delete this will also work. Okay, so that is deleted. And let's see if your shop section is working or not. So I'm getting all the details that are posted by me, but there is one problem. Okay, we need to fix this in your shop component also. Okay, so I'll go back to the VS Code and let's change it in my shop also. So in the HTML we can say, instead of shaka, okay, we can say double curly brackets, that is string. You can put variables in HTML. I'll say data dot shop, not shop. It will be user name, and in src it will be data dot user image. Okay, hit save, wait for it to compile. Now we'll be getting the shop posted by me only. Okay, let's try to delete some shop. So I'll delete this and see if it is getting deleted. Yes, it is. Okay, I'll sign out and log in as a different user and see if I'm able to show and edit only that shop. So let's log in with this account. If you see here, I'm only able to see the shop that is posted by this user. Okay, now let's go to the home page. So we need to fix one more thing, like we are getting edit and delete for every post. So we should not be able to delete or edit a post that is created by another user. Okay, so to fix that, go back to the dashboard component, and in the HTML and in this div this will be only be accessible. I'll say ng if, okay, af auth dot auth state async and so this part is important. Okay, I'll say if data dot uid is equal to current uid. Okay, so this uid is not defined here, so let's define this. So I'll create a variable named uid. So first in the constructor I need to call this afauth. So I'll say this dot afauth dot auth state. So I'll subscribe to this and see what's the current status of the user, whether it is logged in, and if he is logged in, he or she, then I'll say this dot uid is equal to user id. Give me the user id of the user who is currently logged in. Okay, this will not be id, this will be uid. Okay, so now we have the id. Hit save. So now I can say, like, if from the current data, whatever data that I am getting from this ng for loop. Okay, so we are iterating over this multiple posts. So for the current post, if the uid of the current post is equal to uid of the current logged in user, then only we'll be able to edit or delete a particular post. Otherwise we won't have access to this. Okay, hit save and let's see if this is working. Now hit back, and if you see here, I'm currently logged in as a bloom 0f. Okay, and if I see this, like it now the edit and delete functions are disabled for any other user. Okay, so similarly we need to do this in case of your shop also. Okay, so I'll go to my shop. Actually this is not necessary, because in the my shop section we'll only be getting the data of the current user, but it is necessary to do it in that place also. So in this div we are showing this button only if the user is authenticated, logged in, but instead of that what we can do, we will only show this edit and delete button if the user is currently logged in, and also the user uh, must have the UID same as if the post has the same UID as the current logged in user's UID. Okay, so this is the only change that we need to make. Okay, hit save, and I think we are done here. No further changes are needed. So now I think we are done with the development. So let's deploy this application. So we'll be using Firebase only to do our deployment. So let's go back to the VS Code and try to deploy our application. I'll open a new terminal. For deploying this application, first we need to build this Angular application. Okay, so I'll say ng build -prod. Okay, so if you write only ng build only, it will take the default configuration as prod, but I'll mention this if you are using some different version of Angular. So let's first build this application. Okay, it might take 2 or 5 minutes depending on your system. Okay, so I'm getting this error. So to fix this error, just run npm audit fix force. Okay, so to fix that particular error, we need to run npm audit fix -- force. So this will fix the error. But if you run the ng build prod command again, so it will give you some error regarding this. Okay, bundle size exceeded. So to fix this error, we need to go to angular.json. So this error is basically that our default configuration of Angular is that the maximum build size or the maximum size of the application can be something like this. Okay, this is the warning message, and if it exceeds beyond this, then it will give us the error. So we'll exceed this size. Okay, so let's search for maximum warning. So budget it is giving me for production that we cannot have our Angular bundle size more than this, so I'll increase this. So I'll say 2 MB. Okay, maximum warning should be 2 MB and maximum error can be 5 MB. Okay, similarly this is for style sheets. Okay, so I can say like 500 KB, and here I can say 1 MB. Okay, make sure you are editing this in the correct configuration. Like we need to go to this configuration, and in this configuration there are production and budget. So here we need to edit it. Okay, so yeah, so this will tell Angular that we need our Angular app size can be more than this, so we need more spaces for our ng build. So I'll hit ng build prod again. Okay, so this is the summary. Like first we ran the ng build prod command, so we ran into this error. So to fix this error, we ran npm audit fix force. So this fixed it, but our bundle size is specified less, so we need to increase our size. So this will hopefully work. So now our ng build prod is complete. Okay, now run Firebase init. So I'll expand this. Now I'll run Firebase init. So it will initialize the Firebase. This is asking, are you initializing with an existing Firebase project directory? I'll say yes. Now select hosting. So make sure you are selecting only the first option, not the second one. Do not select the setup GitHub action deploys. Now hit enter. So now what do you want to use as a public directory? Now so we need to specify something like this. So when we run ng build command, so it creates one dist folder, okay, in your this project location. So specify exactly the name that is currently whatever you have named your project to be. So I'll say it is asking me what do you want to use as a public repository. So I'll say dist slash, so I'll give this exact project name, so I'll say Chukku Wala YouTube. Okay, make sure that you are giving the correct folder path. Okay, so press enter. So this is asking me configure as a single page app, so hit yes. So now select no. So now select no. Now run the command Firebase deploy. So now it is deploying our application. So I think our project is deployed, so this hosting URL is provided. Let's go back, let's visit this URL to see whether it is our code is deployed or not. So if you see here, our code is now deployed and we have completed this. Okay, so if you have made it till this part of this video, thank you very much. And I want to make one suggestion, like if you didn't understand anything, and if you have any doubt or error in any part of your code, you can post the comment, or you can ping me personally on any of my social media. Okay, you can come here and you can ping me on Steam or LinkedIn, GitHub. I'll be able to help you. Okay, so I made this video because in YouTube, when you search for Angular projects, like there are not so much projects related to Angular. Okay, like if you type Angular project in YouTube, you will only be finding like 5 to 10 projects. So this was the motivation of building this project. Okay, and also stay tuned. In the near future, I'll be creating a lot of Angular tutorials, and not the tutorials but the projects. Okay, I have already created like 3 or 4 projects, so the video is on the way. So I'll take the feedback from this video and see whether I was able to explain it or not the video. I know I made a lot of things complex and you wouldn't have been able to get like a lot of things in this video. Okay, so if you can ping me personally for that also, if you want to me to explain some specific topic or some section of the code in this video. And if you find something missing in the video, and if you find anything wrong, and if you want to make any suggestion to make this to improve the code, if anything is working wrong and or I have done something wrong, you are pretty much welcome to make the suggestion. Okay, and also if you want to contribute to this project, please go to this GitHub repository and please contribute to this project if you want to make any, if you want to improve it. Okay, please share it with your colleagues or friends or anyone. I know Angular is not fun at start. Angular has a lean learning curve, but when you learn it, you really will enjoy it. Okay, and the neat part about Angular is that we get to use TypeScript. TypeScript is like the most beautiful thing that can happen to the JavaScript. So this has been pretty much it. This is Bloom. Peace out.